Hmm. Good morning, everybody. It is January 3rd, and your Overlord is up and away. Oh boy. Here in the small town of Asheville, it is 37 degrees and foggy, and the sun is not up yet, of course. It feels so good to be out of neck pain. Yesterday was pretty rough on me. Hard dealing with that much pain. I'm in better shape now, though. We're gonna get some tea going. We're gonna get going. We've got work today at 8 a.m., which means after the morning show, I'm out of here, and the schedule will resume at 6 p.m., and I get home, and after I decompress just a little. Let's get on with today's philosophy. Lesson number 2, water and sleep. There are two fundamental things that people have a tendency to not pay enough attention to. It's water and sleep. If you were to ask the Dalai Lama what things he would give the world, he would say water and sleep. If you ask Mohandas Gandhi what he wanted, he would say peace for his people. And then he would say water and sleep and salt. He liked salt. I like salt too. Water and sleep are so fundamental to existence, and yet most people neglect them. You should be getting enough water. If you've drunk water, you probably haven't drunk enough water. You can tell when you've drunk enough water when your urine is clear or almost clear in color. Also, you can tell when you've drunk too much water when you start getting a water headache. That's right, those are a thing. As for sleep, sleep is a sticky wicket. Sleeping habits have a tendency to be normalized, meaning your body can get used to certain patterns. And some patterns are just easier to exist in. As your age changes, the number of hours of sleep you need will also change. Giving yourself time to get up in the morning, i.e., sometime before you come up spring out of bed like I have been doing stupidly in the last 3 days. Yawning and stuff. Give yourself between a half hour to an hour to lay in bed by setting an alarm before you actually mean to get up. For me, I really should be starting to get up at around 5, but I've got my schedule squeezed a little bit right now, so I'm working on it. Giving yourself time to sleep gives yourself time to repair. Getting enough water makes sure that your body has all the tools it needs to repair. Without water, you can't process the food you need, you can't produce the chemicals you need, your body is basically stuck in idle, unable to do what it needs to do. And without sleep, you'll never get the privacy to do those things. There are right and wrong ways to sleep too, and drink water for that matter. You shouldn't be drinking water that's too overladen with minerals. So if you happen to have city water and it doesn't taste very good, maybe you should look into getting a purifier. On the other hand, if you drink distilled water, you'll find that it's flavorless because it doesn't have enough minerals. It is still functional though. As for sleep, many people do a bad job of sleeping. Before you sleep, you should stretch out your body or even do some exercises. I work out just before bed to help me sleep better. Most of the time it works. Unfortunately, if like me, you suffer from neck pain, it's actually mostly coming from your shoulders, or in my case, my neck. All right, I think that's enough yammering. Let's get on with the chores. We'll make it a great morning. You know, I freaked out the first time it played, but now actually, this song, which is an unused track from the video game Katawa Shoujo, which I like a great deal, I wanted to stick around. We'll see if anybody gets mad. Katawa Shoujo is a game about dating girls who have significant disabilities and their friends. And it's a beautiful dating game. It has a lot of different characters, a lot of different endings, and a whole lot of heart. And I like it quite a lot. Not to mention, it's got kind of an Animal Crossing feel to it, an everyday morning type of thing. Yeah, I think it's good. I think it's good. We're going to keep it. Until someone gets mad at me. Oh, we'll set up some tea. This will be good. And of course I will add a candy cane. Because why wouldn't I add a candy cane? Mm. Mhm. There we go. Since I've got so many candy canes, I have figured out how to get them open pretty effortlessly. The trick is you kind of do a zigzag pull along the stem, just like so. There it goes. Okay. With that, I think we are all set to get on with the morning's chores. Oh, socks today. Oh, cold, cold, cold. Tonk. I've got to work on that. One little hit at the end. I have to edit my audio files. Got to clean up my audio files. We'll get there. There's no rush. The sound is sounding better. The Overlord is coming in loud and clear now. Still scuffy. It's not a great microphone. But hey, who said I needed a great microphone? You don't mind, do you, Zero? For those who are just tuning in, that's you, Zero. And don't know who Zero is my biggest and greatest follower. Zero has attended every single one of my streams since my very first, and he never misses a stream. I'm always very impressed with Zero's patronage. He does his best to support me, not just as a streamer, but as a human being, and I think that's the way it should be. I kind of want to talk briefly about parasocialization, healthy and unhealthy versions. Because although everybody freaks out when they hear parasocial, I don't think it's always a bad thing. Let me be specific. Last year, I was divorced. There's nothing in the world that makes you feel more alone, except possibly losing a loved one. And that's exactly what it is. The body has to cope with the loss in the same way they would cope with the loss of a dear person dying. It's like a hole opens up and you don't know how to manage it. That was when I decided to start streaming again. I didn't give Zero any attention at the time, but I did talk to everyone. I spoke as though I had a constant audience, somebody always there watching what I was doing. And you know, it helps. It really does. You don't feel as alone. The world feels more balanced. Having a constant presence in your life is something that, as a single person, you don't know about. But once you find a connection, it's hard to do without it. There's a layer of accountability and meaning to your actions when you're not just randomly doing stuff all on your own. As I like to call it, meandering the wilds. There we go. Honestly, I think life is more interesting when you don't have to live it alone. Zero helps with that. If you're still wondering who Zero is, it's the number of people watching. Which means my connection with the follower Zero is parasocial. A parasocial relationship can be defined as a relationship which is more felt on one side of the relationship than the other, where one person believes that a connection is forming, but there's nothing on the other side. The other side's not aware of this. Now, parasocial can mean one person believes they're great friends with somebody, the other guy doesn't even know they exist. This happens all the time with streamers. It's not the only version. In my case, I have a parasocial relationship with the follower 0, who doesn't exist. 0 helps me maintain accountability, keeps me from feeling lonely, gets me out of bed in the morning. There are many bright points to having 0 as a parasocial follower. And what's more, 0 is intentionally parasocial. But before I was intentionally parasocial with 0, I was intentionally parasocial with other things too. I have seen parasocial relationships where streamers provide good advice, provide meaningful connection to people who the streamer might not even notice. Lurkers are the same way. They benefit from the streamer without the streamer knowing. Doesn't mean that every parasocial connection is healthy. I'm sure there are lots of poison ones out there. But it does mean that relationships are relationships, regardless of how much distance there is. And the truth is, there are a lot of streamers that do specifically form ordinary relationships with streamers. Ask any streamer, and they can probably name 10 or 12 chat names that they see on a daily basis and they really enjoy interacting with. People they would consider friends. The real problem is Fermi's number. Once you get up around 200 people that you're in contact with, it gets difficult to remember names and connect with more people. So, the real question is, how much of an audience can you maintain? And are you clear with your audience about how you want to proceed? I'm going to be specific. Sorry if I'm going to call you out, VTubers. Some of the unfortunate behaviors that I have witnessed as a streamer and as a stream watcher. There is a common tactic inside VTuber circles to speak to someone the first time they appear on your stream. So if you see a new voice in your chat, you'll reply to them. Usually the first comment they make is sometimes the second. You'll directly address them. This is hooking. This is convincing someone that they are a member of the community. This is regardless of whether they have anything useful and meaningful to say, whether you care about their input, whether they've even said anything worthwhile. The trick is, you mirror their particular emotions or movements or so forth, so they feel connected and part of the group. They feel witty or clever or emotional, blah, 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 blah. And then you move along. You only respond to one, maybe two comments. Because if you were to reply to just one person all stream, that would leave everybody else out in the dust. Even if you were to talk to your 10 favorite streamers all show, then everyone else would feel neglected. And anyone who was watching but wasn't getting communicated with, although they were trying to communicate, would feel like they were getting ignored, and so they leave. To prevent this from happening, they first reply to one or two messages. Always try to reply to the first thing they say. That way, the viewer doesn't feel alienated or alone. And that's the rub. Although they don't feel like they've gained no attention, they haven't gained any attention. The streamer is busy doing what they're doing. They want to build an audience, so they attempt to personally connect with each person. But once they achieve that connection, they're out of there. They got other stuff to do. And in order to reclaim that connection, the viewer escalates the behavior. Sometimes in unhealthy ways, which the streamer gets angry about, but often by following or subscribing or donating. It's an attention war. And it's one I consider poisonous. But many of the same streamers who say they decry parasocial relationships still engage them in that same way. Replying to the first comment that somebody makes in a stream, making sure to acknowledge people immediately as they come in. And it's pretty easy to recognize people who do this. They become like door greeters. Every single time somebody comes into their stream and starts talking, they immediately say hello to them, which is fine until you get around 2,000 viewers, at which point you become the person standing at the door waving. So there's truth. Hi, Jones, how you doing? Hey, Joey, what's shaking, bacon? Hello, hi, hello, hi. That's their whole stream. All stream until they get to like their last 5 minutes and they stop doing it. This I consider an unhealthy parasocial connection because they are intentionally trying to bond with every single person who comes into their stream, but then not doing anything with that connection, just letting it waste. It's not healthy and it's not fair. The average viewer won't understand the deception. Instead, they think they just made a new friend on the internet. Hey, I know somebody who plays video games for a living. And this leads to difficult and tricky situations. As for me, I'll direct almost all of my comments to 0 because I want it to be understood that I'm not doing this for the people who are watching. I'm doing this for my mental health. So 0 comes first for now. It's possible that when I get up around 100, 200 average viewers, the situation might change. Maybe someday I will start streaming to an audience as opposed to streaming to the void. But that day is not today. Even if, for example, someone were to very recently wander in, I would avoid directly referencing them, I think. Because I don't want to start a parasocial relationship other than the one that I've already established with 0. Who doesn't exist? I don't have anything against parasocial relationships. I have a problem with people exploiting parasocial relationships to make money and popularity. That's the way to put it. Let's get on with the laundry. Anyways, it's been a fairly quiet morning here in Asheville. Just rolling through the chores. There's always more chores. Maybe I'll get it under a cap. I'm a lot more active than I was when I was healing last year. I might get things down to a dull roar. Who knows? Can you imagine? All right. Now, I've been fairly calm and quiet about my personal preferences, beliefs, so forth. But my channel is flagged R18, and there's a good reason for that. I am most certainly a dirty old 40-year-old man. No question. A monster. We'll get to why later. I'll talk a great deal about my philosophy, but for now I'm just getting started. Suffice to say, this is no place for children. Here we go. Do that number, see if that helps. Let's see. I suppose at the end of my stream, we'll hold Dark Assembly, and I'll decide on my own which video games I'm going to play today, although most of the decisions are technically already made. It's just a matter of formalizing them. But it's important that we use the Dark Assembly to assemble the schedule every morning. Speaking of the schedule, I really should build some graphics and things for it. I have been trying to recruit a new artist to help me with this process, but it's not going very good. I think I might just do it myself. Qualifies as home economics, right? If I clip art my own schedule together, then I don't have to pay somebody to do it. There'll be long stretches in the mornings when I'm just quietly doing tasks. I won't have too much to say. I guess that's okay. Everybody has work to do. Everybody has chores. I'm just living my life. I'm an overlord, so I do amazing things sometimes. And other times I'm folding the laundry. Right now I'm trying to fold a fitted sheet. These are always tricky. I know how to do it though, because I'm an overlord. Most powerful talent of an overlord. It's not the Zeta beam, it's that I can fold a fitted sheet. That's right. That will do, right there. How lumpy. Okay. Good enough. It's the power of laissez-faire, which is French for I don't give a shit. Oh yes, I curse on stream, like I mentioned, R18. I simply don't care about that sort of thing. It's far more important that I don't actually intend to offend somebody. A good example is the Frenchman from Monty Python. One thing to say words that society considers offensive for the sake of providing emphasis or being true to your feelings. It is something else to broadcast negativity towards someone. Just pick some poor dude out on the street. I don't want to talk to you no more, you gay Sally's fruit trough water. I fart in your general direction. This is very unsociable behavior. That's not the sort of person I am. Your mother was a hamster. Now go away before I taunt you a second time. Yeah. I hope no one's been disappointed with my workouts. I've been barely working out 15 minutes each time. I know it seems small, but you have to understand I do a full-time job in addition to being a full-time farmer. So my body is pretty much near its physical limit. So to squeeze these workouts in is going to be a gradual process. You will take on a little more every day. Right now, 15 minutes is a good benchmark. We're going to gradually turn the heat up. That way I don't sprain something and end up with my neck thrown out, not able to move for a day. Like exactly what happened. Shit. We have to go get the chicken eggs. Everybody ready? Come on. I wonder if I'll stay in range of the Wi-Fi. Maybe not. It's so... The moon is actually more light than the sun at this point. Because we haven't reached sunrise yet, not even close. Hopefully we don't get a connection hiccup. Good morning, ladies. Good morning. Where's everybody at? They're all over on the other side. They've decided that heater is the good one. Hey, good morning. Good morning. 5 here. When I get over on the other side. Take a look. They're probably putting eggs down at the bottom. Because they're chickens, they do whatever. I'll get them later. I'm not super worried about it. As expected, my broccoli plants are stuck in neutral. They came up and stopped. That's fine. They'll stay like that for a while. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 15 eggs today. And as always, I have too many eggs. The fridge is overloaded. I'll have to take some to work. How about 5 dozen, I think. Should be a good amount. It's normal in the winter for chickens to provide fewer eggs. Eggs take a lot of calories to produce. It's cold in the winter. Okay. We'll port those out. One of my goals for home economics is to actually find a use for all of these eggs that I'm producing. I occasionally sell eggs to my coworkers. That's about it. The chickens are about even money. Feeding the chickens costs about $100 in grains, and I've got a really good deal going. Later on, I'll start fermenting their food again, and then the chickens will be slightly less expensive. They'll only cost about $50 a month. At that point, I won't have to worry quite as much. But getting there takes time and effort. I need to take the garbage out soon. Gesundheit. Pardon me. One more. I've been getting emergency, of course. Anybody who works in the public service should maintain a good thick layer of vitamins and minerals. There we go. Mostly better. Take my vitamins for the day. I suffer from runner's anemia, which means unless I get enough iron, I start to feel very, very tired and lethargic. I'll get some B vitamins also. And a pill for vitamin D, although I'm going to drink my milk as well. That's odd. I pulled 4 pills out of the bottles, and I've only got 3 in my hands. I got this one. Where'd the other one go? Got one of these. Is it the iron pill I missed? Yes. Somewhere I lost my iron pill. Thank goodness. Found. I'm not a big fan of trying to rely on vitamins. I believe that small little pills of substances don't provide food-soluble vitamins in an efficient manner, not nearly as efficient as just food. Rather, as the name implies, they're supplements meant to be increases to the diet. Always flush your vitamins with plenty of water. If they stick in the throat, they'll cause all sorts of trouble. And you might not be able to feel if that happens. Recently, I have been having bowel troubles. Today, we're going to mostly focus on having a yogurt and milk product-based diet. We will fix my gut flora and ease the substances passing through it. But I do feel like having a little something. Why don't we make some cream of wheat? Oh boy. Bit of an air bubble. So, to prepare cream of wheat, first, take, well, for 2 people, which is how much I usually eat, 1/3 of a cup of the grain, and prepare a pot of boiling water. You kiddos should remember how to do boiling water. We did it yesterday. The amount of water that you want to boil depends on the recipe. In this case, we're looking at somewhere in the neighborhood of 2 cups. So we'll get our clear measure. Oops, they're stuck together. There we go. Verify the water amount is at 2. Yep, I've eyeballed it pretty effectively. Pour off any extra. Get it boiling. Since I started it in a tea kettle, it'll be boiling very quickly. Now, it won't boil the minute I switch the burner on because the metal is cold. Metal will steal heat from the water, and it needs to be warmed up by the burner. Once the pot is hot, the water will begin to boil again. Once it's boiling, we add the cream of wheat and stir constantly to keep it from boiling over. After about 2.5 minutes, it'll be ready to eat. The other way you can do it is to simply add boiling water. That's easier if you have instant grits and cream of wheat. I do not have instant, so we're going to be patient. Once it goes, it'll go. It won't actually take long, because the water was already very hot. As always, you've been listening to Kentaro Sato and the Budapest Symphony Orchestra, playing the soundtrack to my life, Stardew Valley. So that's cranked up, we're getting there. Okay, we're starting to get little bubbles. We're losing water through steam now. We're getting minor breach. We're at lazy bubble stage. Getting closer. We're at a boil. Going in. You want to stir the first few seconds that it hits, absolutely. We'll start our timer. 2 minutes. Just stand here stirring it. What you want to do is stroke the bottom of the pan. You're trying to prevent it from sticking. There we go. About 40 seconds left. It is beginning to thicken up. As it thickens up, you want to start cutting through it with the tool to help improve the grain, keep it from clumping. Pretty good. Getting quite thick now. There's the alarm. We're not quite there. It needs another 30 seconds. Once it starts to spit, launch little bits out through the bubbles, then you know you're done. I think it's time. You can start seeing the bottom of the pan through the swipes. Yeah. Get a big bowl. You're gonna need a big one. 2 servings after all. Enough for a hale male adult. And here's a tip from a seasoned cream of wheat cooker. Wash your pan immediately. There we go. You will have much fewer problems getting this stuff off again if you douse your pan the minute it gets done cooking. Meanwhile, your cream of wheat will set up, taking on a very appealing texture. Just missing a couple little things now. We'll add a little bit of sugar. There we go. And a little bit of butter. Like this. Now, if you intended to eat your cream of wheat with vegetables, you're a monster. No, I mean, cream of wheat can support anything from cheese to peppermint. I have no intention of putting a peppermint stick in my cream of wheat. It's really a blank canvas. You can do all sorts of great things with it. The limit is only your creativity. But for right now, I'm just going to stir my little bit of butter into this cream of wheat with just a little bit of sugar. It's quite hot. That's the stuff. We'll leave it set and continue with the chores. In about 5 minutes, it should be cool enough to eat. I like to have dedicated measuring cups, specifically for creating food. So we'll put the cream of wheat kit right over here. It'll make it easy to serve myself cream of wheat later. I may end up eating it frequently in the mornings. I haven't eaten it for almost a year. I stopped eating it. I used to cook it every day for my wife, and she wouldn't eat it every day. She just decided on a whim whether she wanted to or not. There's something to be said for devoting your time and service to a person who doesn't care. That's why I like you, Zero. You're always here for me. When you work for yourself, you don't have to worry about whether you're appreciated. Now it's my cream of wheat. It's not like the cereal divorced me. You shouldn't bear any ill feelings towards it. It can be easier to handle this stuff if you put it on a saucer. The bowl will get piping hot. Something else you can do to brighten cream of wheat is a little pinch of salt. Salt makes a lot of things taste better. And cream of wheat is not an exception. Let's see, how about, I'd say, a quarter teaspoon is plenty. We'll just stir this in there. It will brighten right up. You'd be amazed how much food changes in flavor and texture just from adding salt. If I'd been smart, I would have added it before it boiled. That's fine. This should be fine. That's nice. Grab a seat and get to eating. I can feel the lights coming on in my heart and mind. Front door was still open a little. Eggs. Cream of wheat isn't just straight carbs. It contains a lot of good vitamins and minerals. But it's close to straight carbs. You should be aware of what you're eating. A farmhand's breakfast would also have 2 eggs lumped on top for protein. But I don't want an egg this morning. Too heavy. In particular, I've been suffering from certain bowel problems, and I need to be able to take my time to fix those. So, we're going to eat something easy to digest. Eggs are about halfway on that scale. I've been contentedly eating and not watching the time. We've reached the end of the morning show, guys. It's been a pleasure having you share my household with me as I did my basic chores and ate some breakfast. Before we conclude the stream, we will hold Dark Assembly, where I will go over the streaming schedule for the day. Dark Assembly used to run for well over an hour. We don't allow that anymore. The Dark Assembly will be finished in 4 minutes. And not a second longer. I've had a splendid morning, and it's largely thanks to you guys. Especially you, Zero. We are on day 3 of my streaming streak. We're just going to keep going until we get to the next year. There's no reason to stop. It's going to be a jam-packed year. I'm finally going to get this farm running full tilt. Maximum production. We'll upgrade our home economics. I'll have this place running shipshape in no time. My new computer will be here in a couple of days. I can hardly wait. This concludes the morning show. Thank you very much for watching. Dark Assembly coming up soon. There it is. Can you hear it? Dark Assembly in 1 minute. All nobles, please take your seats. Dark Assembly begins in 30 seconds. Sit down. I hereby declare the January 3rd session of the Dark Assembly open. Let's get to work. We just finished the morning show. From 8 to 5, employment. 6 p.m., Minecraft meditation. We got animals. Dogs have appeared on my Minecraft server. Looking forward to the continuation. 7 p.m. Home economics. I think sandwiches are in order. We're gonna do a sandwich class, people. Everybody please stay put. 9 p.m. Ring Fit. This time we're gonna take on Drago and show him that I can squat just as well as anybody else. We've been taking our time ratcheting up the intensity in Ring Fit. And that just leaves 8 p.m., Block 1. It's tempting to spend this block doing other things. I need to get some audio files done for my stream. And there's a lot of miscellany to take care of. But I do have a day coming up on the 5th where I'll be able to put plenty of time towards that. So we're going to save all of our administrative tasks for the 5th. In other words, setting up audio is vetoed to the 5th. That just leaves the question of what we want to do for Block 3. On the 1st, we played Blacksmith of the Sand Kingdom. A lot of fun. On the 2nd, yesterday, we did a little bit of Project Diva, which sucked because they muted my audio. And we also played Kingdom, New Lands. They're both good games. We have a lot of options available to us. It's time to settle on a game. If I want to go for fan service, it should be Peach Beach Splash, no question. There's Blacksmith of the Sand Kingdom and Kingdom. I could play either of those. I need to start my Trillion playthrough, but I think that's going to be relegated for the weekend. I could play Lever Plus. There's Idolmaster, or Diablo 4, Danganronpa 2. Let's be honest though. The thing that is most pressing, absolutely, without a doubt, no question, is the Kingdom save. We're standing at the dock, waiting for the boat to take us to the new world. We've broken the grid on 2 islands. Can we make it to the 3rd, the 4th, and the 5th island? Can we clear new lands altogether? And if so, just how far can I take it? There's very little deliberation. But wait! In Blacksmith of the Sand Kingdom, we've just barely managed to get ourselves out and farming a new stage. We could play Blacksmith of the Sand Kingdom. Since I'm the only one voting, it's going to be Kingdom New Lands for a 2nd night in a row. The schedule is decided. Wait till you guys see the real Dark Assembly. It'll blow your minds. With that, the Dark Assembly is officially adjourned. Thank you all for coming to my stream, and I'll see you all next time. I'll be on air again at 6 p.m. Pacific for Minecraft Meditation. Overlord TV is off the air.